Thoughts of this game's state. Like the state of Rivals right now? Ooh, I haven't done anything like that in a while. Okay, I'm down. This is a little off the cuff, obviously. You know, I gotta get Bucky out, otherwise I'm not feeling proper. There we go. Now I feel like I'm in my element. So unfortunately, off the cuff, it's hard to put together every thought of the entire game all together. But sure, I'll give you some thoughts on Rivals as a whole. So today is what? Today is the 11th of October. It's the day after Season 4.5. Daredevil has just released. Daredevil seems extremely fun. I've actually seen some in ranked, not too many, but I think there's also, you know, people are afraid to play the new characters in ranked because they don't want to be flamed and, oh my god, like that guy's playing the new character. But like, honestly, at this point, I think if a character's getting picked in ranked right off the spot, like right off the bat, that's fine. Like, yeah, sometimes you lose games because of it, but like, people are having fun. And I will say that. I will say this. It's fun slash followed up with unfun. That yesterday playing was some of the best and most miserable games I've had in Rivals in forever. And the reason that is because all the casual players came back. Everybody came back. Now, I was hanging out in like low GM, right? I was hanging out in like low GM yesterday. And I climbed up from like, I think GM 3 to the Celestial 3 yesterday, because I haven't been grinding a whole ton. So I got to see some shit. I got to see all the people that probably like played a bunch when the new season dropped, or have just like only dropped a little bit, or used to play a ton, and then like have kind of fallen off a little bit. It was some of the most toxic mess games. Everyone was mad. Everyone was miserable. Everyone was pissed. People that weren't getting the new hero were getting upset. If they did get the new hero, people were flaming the people playing the new hero, whatever it might be. And you know what? This might sound insane. That's a good sign. You know why that's a good sign? Because unfortunately, one, this player base, along with many other player bases of most multiplayer games, are a little toxic. And typically, the people that are most toxic are the casual players. Hey, game in to game out. They're the ones that get the maddest because they don't understand why they're losing. They think, like, I can't tell you, like, I had one game where there was a guy who just was like, he was getting mad at all of our teammates, and he was like, we gotta kill the healers, go kill the healers, go kill the healers. Said it like 10 times. And we only got to like second point of like the Venom map, like the escort push the cart hybrid map. And we're coming back, we just got steamrolled first fight on defense. We had to hold for like 5 minutes, and this guy's like, you guys gotta stop dying, like just stop dying. And I hit tab, and my guy had the most deaths on the team by like 2, which was like not a lot. It was like 7 or 8, 6 or 8 or something like that. And I was like, I just unmuted. It's the first time I had really unmuted, like, because he's just been arguing with everyone. I go like, brother, you have the most deaths. How are you telling everyone to stop dying? You have the most, like more than the enemy teams too. And he's like, well, yeah, because I'm not getting healed. And I was like, yeah, because you're taking too much damage. Take less damage. Like, you don't need to be healed all the time. Like, take your own advice. Die less. And then you know what I did? I started calming a little bit more because everyone else was kind of like getting flamed by this guy the entire game. And I started telling him what to do a little bit. And we held for 5 minutes. And you know what? That guy only died one more time. You know what he did? He played super safe. He played really far away. He stopped feeding his brains out. And you know what? It was winnable. And at the end of the game, most people were like, oh, like, Futz, thanks for, like, a good game. Like, thanks, love you, blah, 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 blah. And you know what the funny part is? That person hasn't really played Rivals very much recently. And that's okay. So people haven't been playing a whole lot. And that's a good sign. It means people were excited to come back and try the new character. And the new character, Daredevil, even though if they weren't getting to play him right away, is probably the most well-designed character in the game. So far. At least in my opinion. I think he's the best designed character. Since release. Best designed character since release. The only one that maybe I think could compete is maybe Invis. Invis is only the other one that I think is like really fun, very fair. Seems like has a pretty high skill ceiling, has a lot of things behind it. Well, you could say Emma, but like Emma's dominant. Like Emma has like a basically a go f yourself playstyle. Daredevil doesn't seem to have a go f yourself playstyle so far. They did drops. There's new drops on Twitch for, I think, Mr. Fantastic. And they also did an event where they did like a gifted sub to get like a Twitch badge. It's been great for all the streamers I've seen. I've seen a good amount of success with it. Seems a lot of people were on yesterday. Although they did look like they spent a ton of money on marketing spend again, because I saw like lots of big streamers that like don't even play a lot of video games anymore that were like all playing Rivals. And so the bags must have been massive. There's a clip from like the FaZe house. Is it FaZe house? Was it FaZe or was it 100? No, it's FaZe, right? I think it's the FaZe house where someone from FaZe was playing Rivals while they were throwing a party because like they had a sponsored stream. Won't lie, that was kind of funny. You know, obviously they're spending big dollars on that at the moment. I think that one's a little questionable because I understand spending big money on streamers to like advertise the game. Like I think that's very smart, but like going for ones that like clearly don't play many video games too often, or like if they do play video games, it's like rarely, I guess. I don't know. Like it's obviously very clear like they're not going to play it much more off after that. I think there's probably a bit better of marketing spend they could do. Hey, but that's their money. That's like a very small nitpick. And, you know, maybe they see an uptick from players from it. Maybe they don't. Who knows? But I will say, though, I wonder if Daredevil was a 5.0, like, new season character instead of mid-season character would have even hit harder. Because I've noticed from this mid-season and the previous mid-season with Blade, they dropped the cooler character at the mid-season and dropped the, like, arguably, in my opinion, less cool character at the beginning of the season, and I feel like it's less hype. And people, on average, especially casual gamers, just don't care about the mid-season as much as they do the beginning of the season. Check player count. I think it's around 100K. I think yesterday it was like high 90s. 86 right now. 24-hour peak of 111. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's pretty damn good. Not as high as like the beginning of the season, right? Where's the beginning of the season? So this right here, will be back here. Yeah, so this is September 12th, so this is probably the beginning of season 3.0. So slightly higher peak than the mid-season. But Rivals is also now settled into its own cadence, which is good, right? It's settled into its own cadence. Do you know most people have school or uni right now? You can use that excuse for every time of year that's not Christmas. But even Christmas time, you could still do it, right? Think about it. Summer, everyone's outside. You know, everyone's traveling. Then September hits and the holiday, oh, everyone's in school, everyone's back to work, whatever. Then the holidays, oh, everyone's traveling, they're spending time with their families, they're doing whatever. Then January comes around, oh, everyone's back to work and back to school. And then, you know, the spring comes around, it's like, oh, people are starting to go outside again. It'll never end in that department. The Face streamer was not sponsored, he just plays regularly. Not today. Every clip I've seen said that it was a sponsored stream. Hey. Maybe the Clippers, maybe all the Clippers were lying, potentially. You might be right. If he wasn't sponsored, my bad. Also, when I was talking about sponsored people that, you know, don't really play like games that often, that's not who I was talking about, by the way. I was like, I saw like tons of, I saw like a lot of the just chatting streamers that were playing yesterday, which is kind of, was like my, oh, interesting moment. Battlefield 6 released too. True, Battlefield 6 did release. You're not wrong. Battlefield 6 is a big one. Actually, yeah, that's actually a bit of an unfortunate situation. A lot of people I saw were like, well, why would they release the mid-season at the same time as Battlefield 6? Like, well, you can't push your mid-season back a week. Well, let's think about that, right? Like, they typically release them on Thursdays or Fridays here in NA. And then if they pushed it back a week, well, Overwatch's new season's next week, you know, and then you're going to be competing with Overwatch's. You know, if you can't do it earlier because they're already on a super tight schedule, you know. So it is what it is in that department. But yeah, that's a good point. I will say, though, as the game has settled into its own little regular content, regular heartbeats, regular updates, I think we're getting really close to the community hitting the point of it's time to discuss true balance, like true gaming balance, because most of those casual players, like the hyper casual players, like the tourists, you will, have probably aren't coming back, right? The more casual players that like play hero shooters definitely were here yesterday, I can tell you that much. But like the hyper casuals, you know, the people who followed the trends, play the most popular games, those are all gone, most likely. Which is also why, you know, looking at the Steam charts and seeing Battlefield 6 released yesterday, which I think was around like 700,000 players on Steam and probably even way higher on console, because, you know, Call of Duty and Battlefield are such huge console games. You know, it was still similar to its season 4.0 release. Like, the numbers are similar. And most of those hyper-casual players probably went to go play Battlefield yesterday, right? So the people who played the new season of Rivals are probably the people that actually like playing Rivals all the time. And so that starts to beg the question, well, this is your dedicated player base. Even the more casuals of that dedicated player base, right? And I think those people want to feel rewarded for their time. They want to feel rewarded for their skill. And I think Rivals sometimes doesn't do that. For examples, if you've been watching any Rivals Ignite recently, you may have noticed, one, triple support has been hard meta, although this recent balance patch, I think, actually did a lot to kind of start dealing with that. One of the biggest things this game has that I think will always keep it a little bit more Mickey Mouse, not as competitive, and keep people always shit-talking it in that department, is support ultimates. And especially ultimates in general, but especially support ultimates. Support ultimates are so powerful in this game. They come up so fast. Like, there was a whole meme about Luna not getting nerfed for like a year, and then they finally nerfed it by 2 seconds, and it really hasn't done much. But now we have the rise of like your Rockets, Raccoons, your Jeff, your Mantis, your Atom, Ultrons, although Ultron's probably a little bit cooked after the new patch. What do all these guys end up having in common when they can become strong? Their support ultimates get buffed. Jeff's support ult got buffed. Rocket's support ult got buffed. Ultron, triple in support, but his ult got buffed when he first got released, but he's mostly used as like a third DPS. Atom, ult got buffed multiple ways. It comes online faster. It also gives 70% of your health and shields when you spawn for 5 seconds. They are all buffed. They're all really strong. Loki's whole shtick is basically having an immortality field on a shift, and then also buffing, you know, ultimates. So I think we're hitting the point, though, where people are probably going to start wanting to have those conversations of like, are those things healthy? Is that a healthy competitive game? And before you sit there and go, well, Rivals is a casual game, it's kind of not anymore. The true hyper casuals are gone. The people that are the casuals now are still competitive casual players. They're gone. Like those, they were playing Battlefield yesterday, right? Like that's where they went. They're all on Battlefield, you know? That said, though, I think Rivals is doing okay. You know, I think a lot of people like a couple months ago were really shitting on it everywhere on the internet, especially in the rings I could see, right? Because I see a lot of like, especially old Overwatch stuff, because that's where I was super involved for a very long time. They were dancing the happy dance over there that Rivals was declining and not doing well. Almost acting almost like TF2 back in the day, when Overwatch was out and started its decline. That said, though, I think the slide has stopped. I think the slide down the mountain has stopped. I think we're there. I think that the like fall off is done. We're now into a cycle of a competitive shooters player base where it will go up and down based on the seasons, and it will have surges if it has huge good hype moments, whether that's from its esport, whether that's from a really popular character being released, whether that's from the competitor not doing as good or stealing something from the competitor. For example, it looks like Overwatch is potentially teasing the idea of doing team-ups. Well, you know, what if Rivals yoinked Stadium, you know? Like, there are going to be things that get people to come in and play, and things that will obviously turn people off the game. But now you start thinking long-term. Now we have to sit down and think long-term. How do you think long-term? Well, what does a healthy competitive game look like long-term? What does balance look like long-term? What does supporting its community look like long-term? I think that, for example, one of the better things that Overwatch did with its community was when it started to really sink, is it understood that it needed to keep its esport and its content all afloat, right? People want to make content on the game. Content creators in a lot of games are kind of like what keeps people plugged in. I have a mostly older audience. I have the analytics to tell you, and I can tell you from most of my older audience that, especially this used to happen in Overwatch, and I'm assuming Rivals is going to start happening the same way, is there's a lot of older people that don't play the game every day. Hell, they might not even play it every week, but they still like to be a part of the community. They still like to keep up with things. So they watch streams, they watch videos, they like to stay up to date, they kind of know what the meta is, even if they're not playing it that much. And how do they do that? They consume content. And so how do they consume content? Well, you have to have a healthy content creator scene. And Overwatch did a really good job of keeping its content creator scene alive with its creator program, with drops, with like small events, mini tournaments, stuff like that. I think that's stuff Rivals could improve on. Rivals' drops for Twitch have been kind of abysmal in a lot of ways. Like, they're just like the recolors of the purple you know, basic skin, and they haven't really changed since then. And it's like they're drip feeding them out since like they originally launched the game. Like they've had like a plan of like, oh, these will all be drops, so we can drip feed these over the next 2 years, and we'll do all the characters, right? You know, there hasn't been like a good drop, like a big, like a nice drop since like the first Ignite matches, and then also like the Emma drops. Just haven't been really very interesting. And for those, before you sit there and go, well, you just want the drops because it helps you as a streamer. Yeah, of course it does. But like, people also, one, like free shit, and two, you're absolutely fooling yourself if you don't think people on the other sides of the internet are watching us. Like, you might not like me or some other creator, right? Or whoever it might be. You might like me, you might not like somebody else, right? But whether you like it or not, those people are kind of representing your game. And if Rivals is going to become your game, you want those people to do well. Because the people on the other sides of your competitors, for example, say Overwatch, they want to see your game fail, they want to see your creators fail, and they want to see theirs do better. And other games do that too, where they want to see their own creators, their own numbers on top. Remember when Rivals came out? Rivals came out, and for some reason the Rivals community at the time thought it was a good idea to pick fights with every other community. They would shit talk Apex, they shit talk Valorant Twitch numbers, Overwatch Twitch numbers, whatever. People like to do that with any games. And so when you sit there, you know, and like, let's say Rivals content kind of falls off a little bit, people are going to look at that and go, oh, that game's dead. Look at, on Twitch, there's no viewership. Same thing when people look at Steam charts. Oh, Steam charts have no view or no numbers. Like, everyone's, oh, they dropped a ton. Yeah, that game's dead game. So it kind of all works together in its own way to create a good perception of the game. And if you want the perception of the game to stay good, here's what you need to do. You have a good content creator community that's healthy and supported. A healthy game with a community of players that's healthy and supported. Listening to feedback in proper channels, right? And that doesn't mean reacting to one random Twitter thread that goes viral, right? Like, there sometimes needs to end up being more nuanced discussions, you know, because unfortunately people just react really hard. Cating to streamers and pros is a terrible idea. Overwatch tried it and failed. Overwatch is literally on its second revival right now. You understand that, right? You know what Overwatch did? Overwatch literally took all of the feedback that people gave, and hello, I was one of the major people that gave it back for years, and have implemented it, and they've literally like won back favor with their player base. So to say that is straight up wrong. It is straight up wrong. Overall though, pretty hopeful on Rivals actually. The slide has definitely stopped. Balance wise, even at the moment, I think almost all the tanks are viable. The only one I would say is not that viable in like really high rank is Penny, but like you have the few Penny specials that are insanely good at Penny. Actually, sorry, Thing is there. Penny's just like really hard to play unless you're insane and like just get value elsewhere. Thing just unfortunately just kind of gets eaten up by Emma, so there's not really a reason to play him. But like Hulk's good, Stranger's good, Cap's good, Mag's good, Venom's good, Groot's good, Thor's good, Emma's good, Angela good. So like balance wise, everything almost everything is playable. So I mean, there's a lot of goods. There's a lot of goods to be hopeful for. Just because things are good and things look pretty decent doesn't mean you shouldn't try to make them better. I think one of the worst things that could potentially happen with Rivals is it get the game, the community, and whatever get overprotective of itself. And what I mean by overprotective is that they don't want to take criticism because they like it. Because even things that are good can always be better. So, funny, I think about this. So the Overwatch community, kind of the Overwatch community now, actually. Like, Overwatch for a year from now, other than their lore and their cinematics and their story, I'm like, where do they go from here? Still waiting to see on that one. That said, I was reminded of Spylo's video I reacted to back in January when he was playing Rivals, and he had some critiques of the game competitively on why he didn't like it, and that video got like shared on Reddit and got shouted down. It got shouted down everywhere. The comments were all like, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, Rivals is amazing, you're stupid, whatever. And now here we are 9 months later, and all of his points that he made are either correct or close to correct. And I remember at the time watching it and being like, even though I don't agree with you on all of these, I value having a different opinion, because it doesn't mean you're wrong. We just have different perspectives on some of it, because he did have some really good points. Granted, if people had listened to those points 9 months ago, maybe they wouldn't be problems now. Talking about ults, support ults, etc., whatever. I think that would probably be the worst thing that could potentially happen. I think that's probably the worst thing that could potentially happen. Granted, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. If it is, that would just be like long-term potential uh-ohs, you know? That said, the maps have been better. I like the map, like the new map style. Although the new map that came out, like the ones with all the fog, like Second Point is horribly designed. I don't know how the supposed to play that map well. It reminds me of like Shambali from Overwatch, where you're just fighting uphill and you're like fighting from under a bridge. It's kind of weird. But I like they're not doing the super dark themed maps anymore. I got kind of sick of those after like the 5th one in a row. And the other thing about maps is, yo, like let's undo the whole, you know, map pools thing. That shit's just so dumb. Why did we take old maps out? Like, I am so sick of queuing in and getting the same map back-to-back games, or back-to-back-to-back games, and then playing the same map 6 times in one day. There's a bunch more maps. Bring them back. What are we doing? Why do we do that? You know what I mean? If you gotta rework them, you know? But like, rework them and then put them in when they're done. Only take them out if they're genuinely causing problems. Like, if they're genuine, like, horrendously causing problems, then you can take them out, right? But like, you can have like okay maps that are like not super loved, but like figure them out later, you know? I feel like if Rivals were supporting creators, the game would stand strong. I've learned a lot from you and other creators. I agree. I mean, like, obviously I'm a little bit biased in that department. That said, most games that survive a very long time have a very good relationship with their community in that aspect. And I'm not saying Rivals doesn't. I'm just saying it could probably be a bit better. And, you know, doing the, you know, 4 hours of drops for Mr. Fantastic and running that for a month, you know, most people get it within the first like 2 to 3 days. Like, it kind of like, you know, that kind of runs its course, and it's kind of GR, you know? That's just like one example as a potential thing, right? So, even though I do think Rivals is in a very good state, I think that this was a very promising looking season. I think that there's definitely more to be done. And I'm curious on how they're going to approach it, especially like those support ults. And I wonder if they are going to start leaning like a little bit more competitively again, because, you know, it is what it is. You think you should bring back the TFT mode? I actually like the TFT mode. I wonder if they're going to bring it back with like more characters, you know, like maybe in like a few like months or something, they'll bring it back and they'll add like the new characters that have been added since then. You know, that might be kind of cool.